Hello everyone, King Happy here, and welcome to my Enderman Farm tutorial. This is my second Enderman Farm design. This is the Behemoth Enderman Farm, because it is an absolute monster of a farm. This is a one wide design using tripwires, and it's so efficient that you cannot actually kill the Enderman fast enough to get your levels any faster in this design. So it maxes out the player's hitting ability to kill Enderman. So without macros, the maximum speed you can get is 52 seconds at level 30 and 3 minutes 28 for level 50, just as benchmarks there. You cannot physically do that any faster without using any macros, and this Enderman farm will produce even more Enderman than you need to do to get those times. This farm is also completely safe for players. They cannot be hit by mobs, they cannot even see you, which is pretty awesome. Now this isn't the cheapest design for an Enderman farm out there. It's a very fast one, but it's not the cheapest. If you're going to build something that's going to last you a long time and you're going to use a lot, you might as well spend a tiny bit more time getting some resources and building something really good. And this is the version we've been building so far on the Hermitcraft server. So this tutorial is very fast paced. You will need to pause it often to make sure you know what's going on, especially if you're building it at the same time. There will be timestamps in the description so you can jump to important parts or any parts you need to look for reference later on. There will be downloads in the description for my Let's Play World version and the tutorial version I'm going to show you today. And the full resource list for the pads and the drop will be in the description as well. So let's get on with the tutorial. Okay, first things first, you need to kill your dragon. You don't have to, but it's definitely preferable when building things in the end. Next thing, we need to get away from the main island. If you're on Xbox, you should stay on the island. You can do the same sort of build. So we need to get away, and the best way to do this is to go down and away. And this is because we need to be as low as we can on the world, and I'll show you that in a minute why. So we don't want to be on this island because we'll load up the whole island and Enderman will spawn here instead of your mob trap. So the easiest way to get away, and we'll put down 2 blocks. We'll put down 1 lava bucket, wait for that to go down to the bottom. Then all you do is place your water bucket next to it, and you'll create a cobblestone generator right down to the bottom of the world. And wait for that to finish. Clean up the sources and then get your ladders out. We're going to put a ladder all the way down to the bottom of the world. When you get to the bottom, just place a block on the bottom. We're now on y equals 1. Okay? We're now going to move 150 blocks away from the island. 128 is the maximum you need to go, but 150 will give you a little bit of leeway for anything hanging over. So, be right back. Now that you're away from the island is no longer loaded up. You don't have to worry about mobs at all if you've lit up everything, including your bridge all the way out. If you've got an F3, we are 0 out of 1 entities, so therefore you're the 1 entity, there's no mobs, it's good. So, next we need to look at how high we can make this farm and why I said to come down low on the world. And this is because players can load up 1 to 8 blocks around them in any direction. So if we're down at y equals 1 at the moment, we're going to load up to about 1 to 8 above us. So if there's anything up there, so spawning platforms, then mobs can spawn up there. Any further than that and mobs will not spawn because it's not loaded up. So your farm is useless if you build it over 1 to 8 and you're down here. Now next part, why we're down here, no, we could build it up there and do 128 blocks above us, up there. But there's a thing in the game called an LC value, and at the moment we've got 31 because I've built up here. So if you go into this chunk here, it's now 15. So the first 16 blocks of this chunk are loaded up. So when they try and spawn a mob, they'll check this volume of area, this chunk, up to level 16 to see if it can spawn mobs. Now to get an effective mob trap, you need to keep your LC value as small as you can. So joint with the fact you can only actually load up to 128 blocks above you, your LC value should be no more than 127. Otherwise you'll get a really bad spawning rate compared to normal. So go up here, up you go, and this will change to 31. There you are. So it's now going to check this chunk up to level 32 because 0 is number 1. And that's why we want to avoid having too much of that. So to do this, we've mapped out 2 chunks. Now if you don't have map out a chunk, go into your F3 menu and on one corner you have 0, 0 where it is here. And that goes down to 15, 15. That is a chunk. So to do this, we want to load up at least amount of chunks and least LC value as we can. So we're going to do this over 2 chunks and build our farm in the middle. Now this farm is 16 wide, you can make it smaller and fit it into 1 chunk. You can do a 1 chunk version of it if you wanted to, but if you want to build anything else out and you'll be more than 16 blocks high, 2 chunks is pretty safe. So we're going to start off by making the actual spawning platforms first, and then we'll come back down at the end of the video and do the optional extras at the bottom. Now for this, I've built in a hopper system so that you can have all the enderpearls taken away and sorted and stored and everything else if you want. And because of this, we're going to start the farm actually killing point at y equals 3. So this will be the actual part where the endermen fall on top of at y equals 3. And we're going to make the 16 wide. So I'm just going to put it across here, 1, 2, 3, 16. So now you've got to get up to the actual full reset for these endermen. So at the moment we are on y equals 3. Endermen need to be dropped by 43, and you need 2 more for the drop reset. So we're going to build this all the way up and put a ladder on the side all the way up to level 48. So the block you're standing up here will be level 48. Now we need to build the full reset, and just to note, you may want to make a big platform around the whole farm or water to push you back on in case you fall off, and this ladder will be your way up to the farm. So on the level of y equals 48, you need to put a strip, which is 2 gaps in the middle at the y equals 48 level, and then another 2 strips which are y equals 46. This is going to be your vine holder, so you put vines all the way along both sides. Now this is a 1 wide farm, but this is a 2 wide full reset to make sure the mobs do not get stuck and get built up. But then you put buttons on your second block on both sides, and that's to stop your vines from growing too far. Next, take some pistons and you're going to put them underneath the back side of the farm. So this is a 1 wide farm. The chute coming down comes on this one here. Same bit, I'm going to put an actual ladder. The one behind it is the one pistons are going to go onto. So this isn't where the mobs are going to go down. You don't want that to happen. This is to push the mobs back into the central bit without them getting stuck in a 1 wide only vine gap. So the next thing is to then get something to activate these pistons. We're going to put a strip, which is the 16 long again, on either side of the actual gap, like so. Once you've done that, you then need to put tripwire hooks all the way along both sets of those strips, and add your string between them. When those vines finish growing to their length of 2, you'll be ready to use the actual full reset. Next, we need to deal with any of the endermen which glitch out or get stuck underneath these pistons. So your full needs to be 1 wide, but some of them may get past these pistons if there's too many of the endermen going through at once. So we're going to make a 1 block gap underneath these and make a row of blocks. Don't have to use glass, I'm just going to use glass here for the sake of it. And then underneath that we're going to make an actual cage. So 3 blocks underneath the tripwire, so 1 block, 2 block, 3 blocks, when they're going to make a thing here, which is 1 block away from that, all the way along. So any endermen that don't go down the central pillar will get stuck on top of here, and they will not be tall enough to activate these pistons, making sure no more endermen coming down will get stuck. Now if they get stuck here, it doesn't happen very often, but when they do, they will despawn within 50 seconds as they're too far away from the player, and be removed from the system. They don't actually reduce your experience at all on speed tests. So we need to make this now spawn proof and strafe proof. So at the moment endermen can fall out the side of the farm, and they can spawn other places. So we can use half slabs at regular intervals just to make sure things can't spawn. So as such, you can just use half slabs on top of here, you can use half slabs on here, you can do whatever you want to make it actually work how you want it to. So I'm just going to use half slabs on the sides to stop them moving sideways. Now they're top half slabs so that things can spawn on top. Just make sure the gaps in between are no more than 2.5 high, and then you'll be fine. So build that up and be right back. So for ease of use of the tutorial, I've gotten rid of the ladder going up, just so you can see this clearly. I've got half slabs around the edge, and there's no more than a 2.5 high gap anywhere, so that mobs can't spawn on these actual top half slabs. Same down here. This is the 2 wide ring going around, just around the edge. Then we move down to a 1 wide ring where this piece of glass is. Now this glass is important, this one isn't. This can be a half slab if you wanted to. These can be half slabs. Now we're using half slabs because they're cheap, they're easy to get, you can get loads of them, and also they're quite easy to use when you're building, especially if you're going between layers further on. They're a good one you can just put wherever you want, just to make sure you get some kind of stepping stone between the layers. So we now need to make this a strafe-proof tube going down to the actual killing platform, and we're going to do that now. So do the same sort of thing again. We're just going to pick a gap. I'm just going to use it out of glass because it's just a easy thing to use. Now there's no advantage using glass here at all. Use half slabs to give you a cheaper alternative, but I'm just going to use glass because it looks cool, and leave a 2 gap between each one, and keep doing rings around here like so, just so that if you look down there is no block visible in the corners which can then be spawned on, apart from this top bit here. Let's make this go around all the way in a little ring, and we're going to do that all the way to the bottom. Okay, so now your anti-strafe rings are done. Your Enderman will get down to the killing platform correctly. If you want to build it from the bottom up, there's 3 blocks and you go to your first one. If you want to build exactly the same as this, of course you can change this for whatever you want to. You can have this a gigantic solid tunnel. You can make it 1 block gap, you can make it 2 blocks gap, you can make 2.5 blocks gap, you can do whatever you want. This bit up here is 2.5 high, so that's still Enderman proof. And around the back here I just went and changed this for a half slab on top of here. So when we start building our actual platforms, so the first pad is going to go to the front of the farm, the side that isn't got this extra bit on the back. We can go 1 block up to give enough clearance to the vines, so when the Endermen are going down there they don't get caught up with this bit here. I'll make the first couple just to show as an example first, where they're going to go out by 2 blocks, up by 1, and place another block. So that's the distance between them. This will hold the tripwire hooks, and then we're going to do tripwire hooks on the other side as well, which is then in the center of the farm. So tripwire hooks in the center as you look down if you get a bit stuck. We're then going to do them all on the side, all the way across the 16 blocks. Well, I'll do that in a minute. But your string in between for tripwires, and that is your spawning platform. Now you need a piston to actually push the Enderman off. Now this is at block 3 on the Enderman, such that if you're walking along here, you will not actually activate it enough to get you knocked off, like so. So it's a quite nice thing to build as well if you're walking around inside it. Now to go to your next layer, this one here is your next spawning pad, so that block there. We then need the tripwires again on the other side, and this design makes really good use of the space because this spawning platform, in this spawning platform, and this spawning platform, they're all nicely meshed together. So we do the same thing again. We're just go out 1, 2, and at 1, put a block, put the piston on top of that, and just keep going with the tripwires like so. So I'll finish off this little bit here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the first few examples are just sitting there now, and just showing you how they go up, and we'll continue that pattern all the way up to what equals 1 to 8, or as close to it as we can. Now we need to make this spawn proof. Now there's a couple of things in this. Mobs can spawn here. They can't spawn on pistons, that's unspawnable. They can spawn on the pads themselves, that's fine. Every block in the inside, like so, are spawning pads. And as well as that, apart from the bottom one, they all have tripwire hooks on the middle. So just make sure you know that when you're doing it, and make sure that's present. To make the spawn proof, we need to actually avoid blocking up air blocks in the system. So if you're standing on this pad here, then looking around on that Y coordinate, that is air blocks. So anything here, this would be an air block. All these blocks I'm placing here, that is an air block, like so. Now we need to preserve those air blocks to increase the efficiency of the farm. We also need to make these spawn proof, so you can either just have half slabs here, that works fine, but for actually building it with ease, I found that if you just do half slabs on the same level with spawning pads themselves, it's quite easy just to jump between this bit, jump on a piston, put that up, go to the next one and such. It just makes it more survival friendly. On this side, you need to make sure that this is spawn proof and things can't fall through. So you could just do maybe one here, which is a under one, like so. Just something to make this bit spawn proof and the Enderman can't fall through. So there we are. And I'm just going to make sure this is present on each layer, so just like so. And you'll be fine after that. So I'm going to continue this all the way up to the top that I want, and then I'll be back. So here's the cross section of what the farm's going to look like so. And we're going to go right to the very top, We're going to continue the pattern going all the way up until we get to the 38th layer. There's 38 spawning platforms all together in this farm. So if you go right to the top, this bit here is 127. You don't want to go anywhere above that at all. So the very top one, this whole platform, we then finish this off by having one more block and a piston with a tripwire on the other side, and this will be as far as you go. Now to make it spawn proof, we'll just put half slab there, and then you put half slab there if you want, and then you're spawn proof. So all you need to do is then make this all the way along for the 16 wide blocks, and then we need to make sure that it's strafe proof on the side. So back in a sec. Okay, so that's made all the way across. Now all we need to do is make it strafe proof, and you can see from this side over here that it's actually quite simple. All we do is put a 3 block on each side like so. It's very, very simple. So just on the side block and then 2 more across, all the way down, so it's always regular, always on the level of the spawning pad to keep those air blocks in the system. That goes all the way down until we get to the middle, like so, where it will keep going down the 3, 3, 3, and then it'll hit the actual reset, and then it'll go back to the 2s, and then from then on it'll go down to 1s, and it will go all the way down to the bottom. So let's have a little quick look at the rate. Just turn it off of peaceful, and they come down. We'll look at the entity count up here. Just see how fast it goes up. Now, we haven't put any of the holding cell in here at the moment to see, we can start getting experience from them, but you can see it gets filled up pretty quickly. Up 60, 70, 80, yeah, it's pretty fast. So now we can start making the bottom bit. So if you skip to this part from earlier, then welcome. And we're going to start putting in the hopper system to take out these ender pearls from Enderman being killed here, first of all. And then we put a hopper system underneath the floor. And then make sure a way to store some ender pearls. Also send some back to the end portals. You can do that now 1.6. And also little area for enchanting and such. So let's get going with this. So I'll show you how to make this practical to use as it is without needing any more of the extra stuff at all. So all you can do is put a row of blocks on the front that you can stand on. This is representing an Enderman. They are 3 high. At the moment they can walk out, obviously, as you saw a minute ago. Now we're going to be punching the bottom block of the actual Enderman so that they cannot attack you back at all. That's the advantage of this farm. You are completely safe. So do stair blocks at their block level 2 all the way across. So now the Enderman from this side can't actually see you, and we'll just put another block on the top just to make sure they can't see you at all. If they can't see you, then they won't teleport, which is awesome. And then we'll just block around the sides however you want to do it. I'm just going to do another load of blocks just around the sides, so you can make this double-sided so people could hit it from either side, or whatever you want to do, and just carry it all the way around. So that's the kind of general thing you need to do to make it safe to kill the mobs without being killed yourself. We can make this a little bit more fun. I'm using soul sand here because it's less than 1 block thick. Then end pearls will go through the actual soul sand into hoppers. So let's put a chest on the end here, and we put some hoppers in it like so. So when the Endermen come down, you can kill them safely now and get the ender pearls without being clogged up in your inventory too much. So it's going to game mode 0, and we'll just punch you through these Endermen. And up we go. So yeah, that is the minimum kind of thing you need to do to get this to work as an experience grinder, and it will be very, very good as it is. But now we're going to go on to the optional extras. So if you're here just for this part of the farm, now it's done. Now we're going to go on to the optional extras, starting by the crusher. Okay, so this crusher has 2 uses. First of all, it will suffocate the Endermen which are standing on the platform, so you don't want to kill them, you just get rid of them. Then it will move the soul sand out from the bottom, so the Enderman will fall 1 more block and die automatically and go straight through to Enderpearl collection. So this is the switch between farming mode and just gathering Enderpearl mode. So we're going to need to put pistons on the bottom block, so when they're extended they will go onto soul sand, and we'll do that all the way along. And also we're going to crush the Enderman's heads, so we need to go 3 blocks up. So we just say into here, we go 1, 2, 3. We're going to crush the Enderman's head, so we're going to put a piston on the back of that, just like so. So it's actually that piston there. I'm going to carry that all the way along as well. and then put a solid block on the front of your top pistons. It has to be a solid block. And then you can go ahead and just cover up the front just like it was before. Now the wiring. So we're going to make a really nice simple way of wiring this. We're going to put a block all the way along both strips, and then we're going to run redstone on top of them. So it's going to be really nice and easy to activate them all at once, just like so. Now we need to activate this with a button. So we're going to say this is the floor level, y equals 2. We're now going to go 2 blocks away from the actual side of the spawning pad, so 1, 2. This is going to have a button on that. We're going to put a block underneath that with a piece of redstone on, another block, and then we're going to do a forward facing dropper, so it's actually going up, and then a sideways facing one like so, a hopper at the bottom, and a chest at the top. And you're just going to put one random item in that as just a floating item, and a comparator on the back. Now that's on, you hit the button, now it's off. That's a little T flip-flop. Next we're drawing this up to the back, so we put one block with a piece of redstone on top, and a torch, then another block like so, with the redstone on top, and then 2 more blocks and a block in the middle, and then you repeaters onto this. One of them is in 4 ticks, so that's on 4, and then on a 3. Now they'll activate as standard, so when this isn't on, this floor will be out, and then when you want to go to a farming mode, they'll pull back. That's the first thing. But if you did that without having a crusher, then the Enderman will just be looking at you straight away and not actually killed, and it could be a little bit dangerous. So now we're going to hook up the top. We just put a piece of block on the back with a redstone torch on top of that, and then another one. Now I'm just going to do a half step underneath this like so, and put a repeater on here 1 tick. Then we need a piston, which is going to be facing upwards on here, which is going to act as a pulse shortener. So that goes onto there, and that goes onto there, and this repeater will be on 2 ticks. So now we're in farming mode, now we're getting experience. We want to go to just collect enderpearls. We hit that, that pulses on the top and then pulls back, so any enderman here will die. So let's go and look at this in action. Now because of the full reset we use, there's a chance that a couple of them have an extra half a heart of life, and they won't die from doing this, but mostly they should die. So there is one that didn't die from that. Definitely a lot safer. Awesome. Next we'll look at having a lovely clean floor. And this is just having hoppers underneath where you're going to stand. And this is why we're on y equals 3. Because we want hoppers underneath all this. And because hoppers let light through, you can put glowstone underneath everything, and the light will get above and stop things from spawning just because of that. And on top of this, we're just going to put carpet on the top. Now you can do this however you want, just using the principle that carpet, we're standing on a block which is lower than that, so you can hit the enderman and still be safe and not fall through into the hopper. And on the back, no, all around this cage you can just put blocks, just to make sure the experience doesn't get out the back, or enderpearls go flying out the back, or anything else. So here's a little example of what you could do. On my Let's Play, I made the whole floor got hoppers and carpet on top, so that anything you threw down would go into a storage system. Now this, I'd just put them underneath the carpet, a little bit around the edge, just like so to show you now. Now we need something to get those enderpearls that are going to come through this hopper, to go into some nice storage chests here, so you can come in and grab some enderpearls and not having to sit there and kill them all the time. And then we want to send some extra ones back to the end portal. So let's set that up. So say for instance you want to have 6 double chests worth of enderpearls being stored at the farm while you kill them. We can do that. We've got our hoppers coming out the side. Now we're going to do 4 droppers going up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this to be a silent droppervator that I've made myself. It's going to go like so. Comparators on top. We're now going to put 2 blocks onto the side with 2 more redstone, and a block on top separating those bits. We're going to put a redstone torch here with a block above, and then we're going to do a tiny little hopper clock here, and we're going to put an item in here which is non-stackable. Must be non-stackable. And then we put things in, but first we would match up this. So this design, so this is overflow proof. We could just put a hopper into each one of these like so, and then we're going to put a hopper chain right onto the top, which will be fed from this dropper. So you can just do that. We will do a thing just to go outwards and then be sent to back to the end portal, but for this it will work. So if you just send some enderpearls through to here, it goes through, very good. And now that one is in there, it will never make a sound again, which is pretty awesome. Very good. And you'll see them coming to here first, and it makes its way up to this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and then it'll be it. So, on to the next bit. So after a relatively short time, your chests will all get filled up. Now, you can either let that overflow and back up through the whole system, or you can get rid of them. And I'm going to show you two ways to get rid of them. You either send them back to the actual portal and send them back to the overworld. If you really want that, you may not. So you can just have it such that you'll end up having a dropper, which will then fire them into a stream of water, which has then got ice underneath it. So all you need is some actual ice, some half slabs, and some building blocks. So you'll just build them along the side, such that the sides will have a barrier, just like so, and you have ice underneath it. And then you would have water running on top of the ice. This just makes sure that the items keep going and go fast. Just like so, you don't have to use ice though, you can just use normal actual blocks underneath. Just makes it go faster. Now intervals you'll just have a half slab, and then you continue on the pattern with some more water and some more blocks. Like I said, you can just do normal blocks if you want to, but the part underneath the actual half slab needs to be actual ice, otherwise the items won't continue going fast. So yes, you can just do that if you want to do, and you keep moving all the way out. Now if you can do that, you won't actually get those items to be moved upwards or away, because you won't load it up enough to get it all the way to the portal, because that would mean loading up the island itself, and Enderman will spawn there instead of here. So when you walk back, they will suddenly all load up and go through all at once. You may want that, you may not. So the other way you want to get rid of them is just to throw them into somewhere to destroy them, to the cactus or lava, or just throw them into the void with a dropper or dispenser. And we'll just show you that now. So you can do it just like so. All you do is put the hoppers going into a dropper anywhere you want to have it, or a dispenser. Go into a cactus, lava, void, whatever you want. And then to a sensor, so this just picks up the signal from comparator to a repeater and loops it back around with a little clock. You can do everything you want for that. So yeah, that is the basics, and now all you need to do is make it spawn proof by using water over the top of everything. So you need some sort of roof which allows your space to be here, and that means you need some half slabs. So the maximum you have inside your farm is 2.5 high, otherwise there's a chance that Enderman can get into the farm itself. So all you do is put half slabs on here, and now we are 2.5 high. And you do that around the whole of the farm that you're going to be in. Any bits above, you need to make sure that they are the same sort of thing as well. They get unspawned on top, with water on top of that, and then just cover up the whole area. So, we'll go back to the first examples, and it'll be done. And as you can see, the one we're making on the Hermitcraft server, which is still in progress at the moment, there is no more than 2.5 high blocks, gaps for Enderman to spawn into, and there's water covering the whole top. So you just need to do it however you end up finishing your farm. Just make sure you finish it off properly with water, and make sure there are no 3 high gaps inside anywhere you're going to stand. And you can see the same sort of principles on my Let's Play world. Now I haven't got any beacons here for regen. You can do that as well as an optional extra. So yeah, you customize it however you want, but the water needs to be there if you're going to be looking at Enderman and they might spawn outside. So yeah, this is a download in description, my latest Let's Play world, and also the actual map I used for the tutorial is also download in description. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a like. It's a huge amount of effort to make this one. And if you haven't subscribed already, please consider it. I'll be happy, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me.